Hi, it's me, Jen. Weirdest angle known to mankind, maybe ever. I don't know. I really wanted to come in with a script and share with you something incredible. But I don't have patience today for a script because this is just too important. This is just too cool. It's just too everything to write a script. I will write one because I care about you and I want you to have the best information in the neatest, tidiest little package I can provide. But today, I'm just keeping it real. I'm keeping it raw. That's what I like to do. So, forever and a day, I have had a book on my book list to read. Who knows why, but I finally bought it. And it is called none other than The Artist's Way. Since my channel is all about journaling as a way to shampoo the dark, nasty corners of your mind, and I've done this for 30 years, The Artist's Way uses two main tools. One of them is writing morning pages, which are essentially free-form writing, 3 pages a day. That is not a difficult thing when you've been doing that for 30 years. The other basic tool in the book is an artist date. This can be anything from going to the Dollar Tree and buying stickers and making a fun little page. It could be going to a museum. It can be getting out your paints and going to the beach. It could be whatever you want it to be. I went and got my nails done. I went and I had such a great time. That's a whole nother story. And then another one, I walked down to the beach. But I have some more that are coming up in me. And it's about not editing yourself. Both of these tools are about stopping the nonsense edits that we do of ourselves. We think we need permission for everything. We think we need to convince people that it's okay to live how you want to live, do what you want to do. You think that so-and-so is going to judge you. You think all these things. Well, in my morning pages, because she does, Julia Cameron is the author, and it's more of a guided type of morning pages. It's divided into weeks, and so there are little, I would say, tasks for each week, and as well as maybe, I don't know that they're prompts, but like themes. So, week 1, which I'm in week 2 now, your enemy within, core negative beliefs. And we're all familiar with that. If you've done any kind of a reading or YouTube watching, you're familiar with core negative beliefs, and your enemy within. And there were some things that are on page 30 and 31. Everyone will hate me. I'll hurt my friends and family. I'll go crazy. These are things we tell ourselves no. This is why we won't do what we want to do. This is why we won't give ourselves permission or think we need to ask permission. I don't have good enough ideas. It will upset my mother or father. I'll have to be alone. I'll be stuck straight. I'll turn gay. I'm just reading from the book. I'll feel too angry. I will never have any real money. I will get self-destructive and drink. I will get cancer, AIDS, a heart attack, the plague. My lover will leave me. I will die. We say all of these things. And for some reason, when I was doing my morning pages, maybe in the book, I'm thinking this probably somehow was in there and prompted me. I do know that there's this section where you divide up your life into 5-year segments. So I'm 54, I think. And I don't know if I'm 54. Nonetheless, you divide it up 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and so on until you get to your current age. And you write like 1 or 2 things that people said that just stick in your mind still. And maybe they even create a little bit of an emotional response. Maybe they don't, but maybe they do. So I did this quickly. I'm a fan of doing this as quick as possible, not because I have a schedule to meet. I do, but that's not why. It's because I don't want to stay stuck here. I want to move through it, and I'm okay to linger if I feel it necessary or to circle back, but I think the longer that you think and ruminate on something, the more cloudy it gets. So the faster you can do it. And I realize with 30 years of practice, it comes fast. So don't be hard on yourself if it takes you longer. This is about freedom anyways. You're supposed to do what works for you. I find it works better if I go faster. But I know in the early days I would journal for a long, long time. So whatever works. All that to say, whatever works. So I divided mine up. And sometimes you have things that stick in your head that if you said to someone, oh, this thing happened to me, it almost feels like they would roll your eyes and go, okay, yeah, this dumb thing from when you were 6 years old bothers you. And it could just be like someone made fun of your hair or your freckles or something. Yeah, but for some reason, whatever the situation is, maybe they kicked you on the playground or something, and it's stuck in your head. And it's then that you start to censor yourself. And in this, she talks about your censor. And like I've said before, our eyes and our ears and our nose and our mouth, we're in this natural world, in this physical body, sort of observing and sensing to find order, to create safety. We all know this. So when something happens that sort of triggers a, hey, there's some danger or there's something I need to change to stay safe, we can unknowingly develop a belief or a pattern of being, a way of thinking that we didn't even realize we did, and then we kind of carried it forward for a long time. And we may, quite often, you'll come to a time in life where you quickly identify, oh yeah, this is not true. Why am I thinking like this? This is silly. Sometimes it's more intense than that. It's like I really need to change, and you need to seek assistance in that case and like have somebody walk you through that, and that's good. But what I did is I really had fun with this process. I called these things monsters. And I was originally thinking Monsters, Inc. type of monsters to make them cute and cuddly. And then some of them weren't. Some of them were like the Predator. Some of them were ugly and mean and horrific and still terrifying. But in doing this little act of like writing down the thing, whatever they did, whatever they said, and kind of looking at the way I viewed what happened or what was done, my response about me, my response about the situation, maybe I responded like, I want to give you an example. And I also named them. And I'm not even done. I'm not even to my mid-20s yet. And I've already found quite a few. But it's interesting because you can find these and then you draw, like I went a step further and I drew them out. And I was like, this is actually a really cool thing to do because it helped me see where I had sort of developed things that I perceived as threats that weren't at all. Things that I thought were weaknesses in me, deficiencies, that weren't at all. But people don't normally take the time to do this kind of work. Or they think it requires you going to a therapist, investing in that. And I'm absolutely not a person who would dissuade anyone from doing that. So do not, absolutely go for it. If you can find someone you trust to help you through that, whether it be a counselor or a coach or whatever person that you need to help guide you through something like this, whatever you see fit, by all means do that. And also, just as a caveat, know that I am not a therapist. I do have some training in crisis counseling, a little bit, not any licensing, no credentials of big note. So this is just me having traveled quite a road and journaling my way through it, reading a lot of books, and then applying that wisdom to my life because I needed it. Not because I was trying to teach it to somebody. That was never my intention. My intention was to get through the next day. That was my intention, with everyone unscathed. Absolutely. That was my primary goal. In that, I have learned a lot and I've practiced a lot, and I've talked a lot about that. It's one thing to know a lot of theory. It's another thing altogether to practice it. And I've had loads and loads of practice. And some tools have served me really well for a while and then not so much later. Some of them have really stuck. Those are the ones that I love to share here. And some of them were just a total colossal waste of time. So, but that doesn't mean they will be for you. But I just try to bring you the ones that I think have really, really helped me navigate some really difficult life events. So I share this because I found one that was very, I'll say it's smallish. When I was younger, I had someone hold me on a playground swing and kiss me. And everybody said that I participated in this. This was a mutual kiss, and it most certainly was not a mutual kiss. In fact, I was very shocked. And without realizing it, because I was maybe 6, 7 at the time, I kind of remember a little bit thinking, why am I having to defend myself? Because the kids were making fun of me, like, haha, you kissed him. And I know as a 50-some-year-old woman that kids are kids. I understand that. But what I saw in writing about this incident was that I had developed this little thing around, why did I have to defend myself when I didn't do anything? And I kind of found myself in different scenarios throughout life where I felt like I needed to defend myself when someone else did something to me. And what it did was I diminished myself over time. I started to, make excuses for the person trying to understand this whole thing, and you don't realize it when you're 7. You're just getting through the day, you're just doing whatever kids do, and you're not sitting there going, oh, well, why am I doing this? You're not having those kinds of thoughts. You don't even have the brain development to do that. But you do develop sensory things that say, okay, well, if somebody is being a bully toward me, my best bet is to be quiet, or something like that. You develop these ways of being, and some of them stick, and then they continue to morph. And I called this rascal the smooch stealer, I think is what I called him, and I drew this picture of him. And I bring this up because it's about rewriting the narrative, and it helps to get it out of your head and onto paper instead of it being just rattling around in there wild and free and sort of clouding what your judgment is. Now, I use that one as a minor example because I don't think it's appropriate to just share every doggone thing under the sun with the internets. At least not in this instance. And so there are plenty more that, I think most women, some men, I don't mean to exclude men in this conversation, because I think especially now, you have people comment on the way that you look or your size or whatever else, and you can really gosh, internalize that, make yourself wrong, make yourself bad, and try to course correct in all kinds of unhealthy ways so that you don't feel the pain of that, instead of being a person who is able to see yourself in a light that is more loving and kind, and also be able to discern the relational parts of this and whether this is a healthy relationship to engage in or not. So there are those things. Regarding the story, though, helping to write down your monsters and find them and suss them out and give them a name, give them attributes. Something that was really, really interesting, and I've shared this before. I am reading The Science of Storytelling, and it goes right along with this. It's kind of scary that I'm doing this all at once. It's by Will Storr. This one I got from the library, Science of Storytelling. And in it, he talks about he's talking about characters' sacred flaws, okay? And he's, of course, talking about writing in this book. And he says, so we reach for further precision. We ask exactly how does he try to control people around him? What's the actual strategy? And the answer came, he does it by telling stories. Oh, I wanted to skip ahead. So how would you succinctly describe your character's broken theory of control? And see, that's what I wanted in that moment. I wanted to control the narrative of the other kids. I wanted to control anybody ever doing that to me again. You hear me? If you've been betrayed, if you've been bullied, if you've been hurt, we develop these habits. Some of them, all of them meant to protect us at the time, some of them a little maladaptive over time, and we seek control in a world that we can't control, and we get frustrated and angry and upset and sad and dismayed, and that is part of humaning. You're going to have that, right? And so exploring these monsters kind of helps me see why it is that I get bothered, and I determine whether or not to be bothered. Because the energy in that kind of headspace can be better used, probably. And I used to have a big problem with anger. And in fact, I went to some people and said, can we talk about anger? And they all looked at me like, anger? That's a weird topic. And it was a mom's group, and I wanted that to be one of the topics of the week. And I thought, am I the only angry person here? And I remember just really being sad and feeling very alone, that like something was really wrong with me, that I felt anger. And over time, I've really learned how to channel that and how to use it to my favor. Most recently today, like a frustrating day. Don't get me wrong. Like, you have a good fit. You have a good fit. But what it's doing is it's pointing you. It's saying, okay, I'm really angry at this situation. It's teaching me a little about me. And it's teaching me, okay, I don't have to take to heart what everybody says, like that kind of thing. It's also really motivating me to do this. It's really motivating me to do this because I think I can help some people. But anyways, and so he says, how would you succinctly describe your character's broken theory of control? Your character being you or your monster. What's their flawed belief that they have about themselves and the human world that they cling on to, and that has come to largely define them? If it helps, you could think of it as a statement that begins in one of the following ways. The thing most people admire about me is I'm only safe when the most important thing of all in life is, the secret of happiness is, the best thing about me is, the most terrible thing about other people is, the big thing I understand about the world that nobody else gets is, the best advice anyone ever gave me was, remember, precision is critical. Vagueness of this stage will only make for vague characters and cliched story. Your answer should suggest a theory of control and therefore a suite of behaviors. Now, the reason that I share this is because you have them. You have these thoughts and these opinions, and maybe they've remained unchallenged up to now. And the monsters that I've found, like this one, that made me think I needed to defend myself and quieted me. I have another one where I spent a long time with someone who I didn't even realize until I started this exercise of writing this down about how I felt in the situation. And it was just a friend who I always felt in the position of underling. Like they had the answers to everything, and I needed them to point the way. And I started outsourcing my own opinions, my own thoughts, because this person, they were presenting themselves as higher than me, more wise, more sophisticated, more whatever, more everything. And I allowed myself to go in this position of, oh, they know better than me, so I better listen to them. And this whole situation of me thinking that I've been under everyone else and everyone else knows better than me, that rascal has been a lived pattern for a very, very long time. And not until I did this exercise of drawing and describing and writing out my inner monsters from the different ages of my life. Not that this person even did anything very malicious or really had the intention of doing this. I think it was just part of their personality. I could see I don't want to do it. I don't need to outsource everything anymore. And I share all of this just because, I want you to realize that journaling and drawing, however you journal, that could be an art journal, it could be a bullet journal, it could be any kind of journal that you want it to be, or guided, or a book like The Artist's Way that guides you through something. But I just implore you to do it. And I don't really mean ChatGPT. Like, write it out. Get pen and paper and use your senses. Use your motor skills. Use this brain-body connection to script out these characters and script out how it went and then rewrite the story. Look at it through fresh eyes. And you'll start to see yourself differently. You'll start to see situations differently. And it will help open your eyes to some things that just are really different than they first appeared. And that maybe you've carried for a very long time. And I'm going to tell you that it was a little bit of a doozy. It was a little dark and scary in Monsterland. But it was worth doing. And so if you have never picked up The Artist's Way, this is one book. There aren't very many books that I would buy and keep, but this is kind of like a workbook to me where you could write in it. But it's one that I think I'll probably take my time with and revisit. That's the only reason I wouldn't get it from the library, because I don't want to like renew it, and I want to be able to scribble in it if I need. But it's so good, and I'm only on day 10. The dates, I want to go to the Artist Way dates, because the 2 tools are the pages, the morning pages, 3 pages of freeform writing, unedited, uninhibited by monsters that tell you you're not creative enough, you're not smart enough, you're not worth enough, you're not bright enough, you're not educated enough, all the not enoughs that you could ever imagine. That, and mine has run deep for a very long time, and I'm sure you have those as well. But they come from these little incidences, sometimes big incidences. But when they're just stuck in your head, unshampooed out of your head, and they're just rambling around in there, bouncing off of whatever happens in the day, that's when they cause you to stumble. And why stumble if you don't have to? Get them out. Use only 5 minutes of time. Just get them out and get them onto paper, and burn the paper if you're afraid somebody's going to read it, but just do it to get it out of you and onto paper. And if you want to just draw a picture of them. That's fine too. And so I've had really funny ones. King Cool of the Stool is one of them. I'm trying to think of the other names. Like, one is the Geppetto, the Puppet Master instead of Geppetto. Just coming up with names for them has been fun. Drawing them out has been fun, because it's lightened them a little bit. And like I said, some of them are pretty ugly and scary still, but most are a lot smaller than they seem. And just like if you hear something go bump in the night and you imagine the worst and you jump straight to this is some awful, horrible situation, and you find out it's a chameleon, or the furnace kicked on and shuffled the paper or something like that. Like, we imagine the worst possible thing and go straight to fear. And once you can kind of pull this enigma out and get it onto paper and just make it into the just piece of paper that it really is, you can burn that sucker, you can rip it up, throw it in the trash, it doesn't matter, throw paint on it, but you can rewrite it and just say, I don't need to listen to a smooch stealer, I don't need to listen to a plastic devil in disguise, I don't need to listen to Geppetto anymore. I get to rewrite this script. I'm not underneath you. I don't need to quiet myself when someone acts a fool. Like, these kinds of things are what you'll uncover when you take the time to square off with these monsters of yours. I hope you have happy monster hunting. I hope you take the time to do this. I will continue to create videos. I hope to bring them to you in a more scripted format. For now, I am very glad that you are patient with me. If you're watching this, there's always a balance, through it all. There's always a balance. And just give yourself some grace, give yourself some time, give yourself the freedom to not be edited, because this life we're living is too short for that. You will reach a time where you've spent maybe a lot of time living for other people, saying yes to everyone else, constantly telling yourself no, and that can only go on for so long before you have a fit. And this person that you've pushed down and bullied for so long wants to come out. And the Artist Way is a beautiful way to bring your inner artist out, and just saying yes more to the things that I've, like getting my nails done, saying yes to doing that. Can I just tell you, I haven't had my nails done in a while, and this just sounds so silly, but it's a no I've been giving myself over and over and over. For all the reasons. It's a waste of money, it's unhealthy, it's this, it's that. I felt so good when I got done, and I had such a good time with the nail tech. I laughed and laughed and laughed, and we had a glorious time. It felt so good. And the more yeses that I gave myself, today was a yes to dancing because it helped relieve some stress I was feeling. It got the energy moving through my body, and I needed a dance bonanza. So I gave myself one. I went and played pickleball this weekend. I just did some things that I wanted to do. And so often it's like we act like there's some boss telling us, oh, you can't go do that until you've done your chores. You can't do that until you've done this. And you can't do that because you don't know. Only I know. And we start to believe these little critters. And we start to live like all their nonsense is real and true. And it's not. It's not. So I hope you will take the time to expose them for the liars that they are and believe yourself. Believe yourself. Give yourself some yeses this week. Turn those monsters into the little chubby little trolls that they really are. Draw them out. Make fun of them. Sometimes they may be cute and cuddly and you may love them, and sometimes you may say, you know what, I'm better than that and I'm bigger and badder, so shove off. However it needs to come out for you, get it out and get it on paper, and I promise you'll be better for it. They're not as scary as they seem, especially if they are, it's almost like in the Bible, it talks about taking every thought captive. That's what it's like. You took a monster captive. Instead of it wandering free in your mind and running all around and taking control over you and your actions and the way that you respond to people and things and situations, it's you taking it captive. So, get on your monster catching gear. Your pen and your paper, and shine the light on these little liars and put them in their place. Enjoy your week. I'll go find the rest of these critters and I'll come back and tell you all about it. In the meantime, have a great week.